She never made it to my graduation. I still remember the way she smiled when she ironed my gown just a week before. She said, "You're gonna walk that stage like you're flying," but she never got to see it. That morning, the only seat left empty in the front row was hers. People told me to smile. She'd want you to be strong, they said, but they didn't see the ache in my chest. They didn't hear the silence where her cheers should have been. For days, I couldn't feel anything but numb. I didn't care about walking the stage. I didn't care about photos or speeches or parties. But then, something arrived in the mail. No return address, just my name written in her handwriting. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't even open it right away. Part of me was scared. What could she possibly say from beyond? But when I finally opened it, it was like she knew. She knew exactly what I would need. The words, the comfort, the strength. That letter changed everything, and it turns out it wasn't the only one. Growing up, it was always just me and Mum. No brothers. No dad in the picture, just us two. She was the kind of woman who'd come home exhausted from a double shift and still quizzed me on my math homework, like she had all the energy in the world. She never missed anything. Every science fair, every band concert, every scraped knee and midnight breakdown. I used to hear other kids complain about their parents too strict, too distracted, too busy. But not her. She made me feel seen. Even when the world, DIDN, single quotes, she had this dream for me, that I'd be the first in our family to graduate college. She used to say, "You walk that stage, baby. I'll be the loudest voice in the room." And somehow, against every odd, I made it. Senior year, I got into my dream school. A full ride. She cried on the kitchen floor when I opened the letter. She said we were finally turning the page. She started planning a road trip across 3 states just to help move me into my dorm. She wanted to make it a memory. Life was finally getting better, and for once, I really believed it would stay that way. It happened 3 weeks before graduation. I still remember that phone call. I was in the school library printing out my final project when my phone buzzed. It was her manager, and all he said was, "Your mum collapsed at work. They're taking her to County General." I ran out without even grabbing my bag. The next hours were a blur of hospital corridors, paperwork, and beeping machines. I remember the sterile smell, the sound of someone crying down the hall, the way time stopped every time a doctor walked. In stroke, massive, unexpected. They said it was a kind of time bomb in her brain that nobody knew was there. I sat next to her in the ICU for 2 days straight. I read aloud from her favorite books. I played the voicemail she left me the week before. "Love you, baby girl. Let's get that cap and gown ready." I kept hoping that if I held her hand tightly enough, maybe she'd feel it. Maybe she'd wake up, but she didn't. Her hand stayed cold. Her breath stayed shallow. And on the 3rd day, they told me she was gone. Just like that. No goodbye, no last words, just a quiet room. And a silence that hit deeper than anything I'd ever known. The funeral was 5 days before graduation. 5 days. I remember standing next to her casket, trying to hold myself together, while everyone kept saying things like, "She was so proud of you and she'd want you to keep going." But how was I supposed to walk across a stage when she wasn't even in the room? I didn't want to go. I told my aunt I was thinking of skipping it entirely. But that morning, something inside me shifted. I put on my gown, I clipped the tassel to the cap like she showed me, and I wore her necklace, the one with the tiny silver heart underneath it all. Every step I took across that stage felt like walking through a storm, but I did it, not for the applause, not for the diploma, but because she made me promise I would. I felt hollow, not just sad, empty, like my soul had been vacuumed out. People kept texting me, checking in, saying, "She'd want you to be strong." But what if I didn't care? What if I didn't want to be strong anymore? I skipped orientation, deleted the welcome emails. My friends tried to pull me out, tofering coffee runs, game nights, study groups, but I stopped replying. I'd look at my phone and just turn it face down. Everyone else's life kept going. Instagram was filled with dorm tours, roommate selfies, freshman mixers. Meanwhile, I sat in my room and stared at the wall. It felt unfair, like the world had the audacity to move on, while I was still stuck in that hospital room, holding her cold hand. I kept thinking I'd hear her voice again, that laugh, the kind that made you feel safe. Her morning pep talks, the way she'd tap my chin and say, "Chin up, baby girl. You got this." But the silence was louder now. I'd lie awake for hours at night. Sometimes I'd whisper to her in the dark, asking if she could hear me. I didn't want to go to college anymore. I didn't even want to get out of bed. All the dreams we built together felt broken without her there to see them happen. It was about 2 weeks after the funeral. The house still smelled like her cinnamon lotion and old coffee. I hadn't touched her room. Couldn't, but that day, something told me to open the closet. On the top shelf, tucked behind a shoebox, I found a small box. On the lid, in her handwriting, were the words, "For Maya, when it's time." My hands were shaking. I sat on the carpet, barely breathing. Inside were 12 letters, all handwritten, all from her. One for every moment she thought she might not be there for. Graduation, first heartbreak, moving into my first apartment. Even one just titled, "Open." On a rainy day, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I opened the one marked graduation. It started with, "If you're reading this, baby girl, I didn't make it. But don't you dare think I'm not proud." I broke down right there, on the floor, but this time, it wasn't from pain. It was from love. From the realization that even in her final moments, she was thinking of how to take care of me. That letter didn't just make me feel seen, it brought her voice back into my life. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something shift. I wasn't alone. Not really. I made a decision. Every month, I'd open one letter. Just one that became my compass. Some were full of advice. Others were just pure love. But all of them sounded like her. Her voice, her little jokes, the way she used to write my name with a heart over the I. When I started college and had one of those days where I felt like I didn't belong, I opened the one labeled, "When you doubt yourself." She wrote, "You've already survived storms, Maya. This is just weather." That line stayed with me. I started therapy. Quiet, uncomfortable at first, but eventually real. I joined a campus grief group. The first time I talked about my mum, I couldn't even get the words out. But someone else nodded. Someone else cried. And that made space for me to do the same. And I began writing letters back to her. Not to send, just to say what I needed to say. "You'd love my dorm window view. I passed my midterm barely. I miss your Sunday pancakes." At first, they were just pages. But over time, they felt like conversations. a tether between the past and who I was becoming. Grief didn't go away, but it stopped being a hole and started becoming a garden. I wasn't over losing her. I don't think I ever will be, but I was growing around the grief, making a life that could hold both the pain of her absence and the beauty of her memory. People say time heals, but what I've learned is time doesn't fix the hole. It just teaches you how to carry it differently. For a long time, I was angry that she was gone. Angry at the timing, at the universe, even at her, in ways I couldn't admit. But somewhere along the way, through each letter, each tear, each step forward, that anger turned into something else. Grace, the kind of grace that lets you miss someone and still smile. That lets you move forward, not in spite of your grief, but with it. I don't read the letters as much anymore. They sit in a box under my bed now, soft at the edges from too much holding. But when life gets heavy, or I lose my way, I go back. And her words, her voice, they remind me. I was loved, I am strong, and I am not alone. I still wear her necklace on big days. And sometimes, when the sky turns grey and the rain taps softly on my window, I reread the one that says, "Open on a rainy day." She wrote, "Even when you feel far away from me, you're still made of me, and I am always, always with you." I believe her now. Grief doesn't have a finish line. It just finds a quieter place in your heart. Over time, if you've ever lost someone and felt like the world moved on too fast, I see you. Maybe your letters haven't come in the mail, but maybe they're showing up in memories, in dreams, in the way you laugh like they did, or say things they used to say. Healing isn't about forgetting, it's about remembering, without breaking every time. And if you're still breaking right now, that's okay too. You're not alone in this. If this story touched something in you, leave a comment, share your own journey, or just type their name. Someone will read it. Maybe even someone who needed to see it. And if you want more stories like this, real ones that sit with the hard things and the beautiful things, you know what to do. Subscribe. Stay. Heal with us.